Hey everybody! Alright, so first of all, how are you? How are you feeling today? I mean, really, how are you feeling? I hope that you're in a calm, collected place today, because we're going to talk about a sort of controversial topic right here, and that is tab versus sheet music, or standard notation. And to be honest, I don't even really understand why this is such a heated debate, why people get so, hot about this topic. Because to me, it's just like two different tools. Like, which tool do you want to use? Which tool do you prefer? It's not really like a personal topic. So I'm going to break down the features of both of these systems of learning music. Sort of like a product review, as if you weren't sure if you wanted to buy tabs or if you wanted to buy standard notation. And then you can make your own decision based on who you are as a player. And I can give my own recommendation at the end. And I'll give you a little spoiler, it's not going to be the same for everybody. So let's start this whole thing off with a discussion about tabs. What are tabs? Tabs are a really old system of notation that are specific to one instrument, which is originally it was the lute and some guitar, and now it's really guitar. It's a specific style of writing down music for guitar and guitar players. Back in the day, there used to be a whole bunch of different kinds of tablature, but now there's only one, and that's actually technically it's called Spanish tab, because there were all these different kinds of tablature. There's French tablature and German tablature and Italian tablature, but Spanish tablature is the one that we associate with regular tabs today. And so the way that works is you've got 6 lines. Each line represents one string on the guitar, and each line, right on the line, there is a number. And the number indicates what fret to put your finger on and play. So basically, the only thing that tabs tell you is where to play a note. Just where to play a note. And it's actually really great because recently there's been a move to include rhythm in there. So not only does it tell you where, but if you get some good tabs, it'll also tell you when to play the note. So that's great, it tells you where and when. So those are the basic features of tabs. Those are actually all the features of tabs. Tells you where to play the note and when to play the note. So the best part of tabs is actually that it's incredibly easy to learn. It's super easy to learn. Most of the time, with an adult or a teenager student, they can figure out how to read tabs in 20 minutes. That's incredible, because adults and teenagers, people with a little bit more developed bodies, not little kids, but people who have developed their hands, have motor control. They have fine motor control, and they can actually play things on the first day that they're picking up a guitar. So for you to be able to say, listen, this is how you're going to read for a while, and them to just look at the piece of paper and go, oh, okay, I see that, it makes sense, it's a picture of the guitar, and then start playing that same day, and not just playing little Mary Had a Little Lamb, playing songs that they know right off the bat, that's incredible. It's an amazing teaching tool, it's an amazing learning tool, and it's really invaluable for teaching guitar lessons for me. So that's the best part of tablature, is how easy it is to use. It's just got a great user interface. So the way that I see it, tab is sort of like the free trial version of notation. And then sheet music, or standard notation, is the full paid version. If you've ever used a really powerful program like Pro Tools, you know that there's a ton of features in there. There's so many things that you can do to your recordings, but there's a learning curve. You have to invest a lot of time in learning how to use that program. Where you could also get a program like Audacity, which is a free program. It doesn't have a lot of features, but it's really, really easy to use. You can learn how to do it. So now we're going to look at what I consider to be the more powerful program, which is standard notation, and we're going to take a look at the features that it gives you. So what is sheet music? So sheet music, or standard notation, is about as old as tablature. They came about in their forms that you would recognize today at about the same time, which is in the Renaissance. So basically the idea with standard notation is that there's a mark on a staff which represents a pitch. So that's the fundamental difference, is that tablature is telling you where to play the note on a specific instrument, where standard notation is telling you what pitch to play. Standard notation also always includes rhythm. It's just part of standard notation. You can't really separate rhythm from pitch in standard notation. So you can already see that there's a lot of decoding that goes into learning standard notation. You have to first learn how to read what's actually on the piece of paper. You have to be able to look at a note and recognize that that's, say, a C on the staff. And then the second step, you need to be able to look at your guitar and say, I want a C. Where is there a C on this guitar? So this can be a process for some people. This can be a process. In my experience, most people can get the hang of this if you work relatively hard at it over the course of about 2 months. You can get a pretty good understanding of where the notes are, and that's if you're working at it. So why would you want to use a system that's so hard to use? Why would you want to go through that learning process and invest all that time in it? Well, let me tell you. First of all, it tells you what to play. This is huge. So rather than only telling you where to play the note, it tells you what the actual note is. And what that does is it gives you options. It gives you different options for where you might want to play that note. So let's go back to that C. Let's say that you look at that C on the piece of paper. Well, there's more than one C on the guitar. And I'm not talking about different octaves. I'm talking about the same exact note on different strings, because it does appear more than once. So you have the option. You might want to play that C 1st fret on the B string, or you might want to play it 5th fret on the G string, or 10th fret on the D string, or 15th fret on the A string, or 20th fret on the 6th string, the low E string. Now, each one of those notes is going to have different sort of timbral qualities, it's going to sound different. Each one is going to convey a different idea of what you think that note should be. And that really gives you so much more. It gives you so many more options as a performer, so many more options as an interpreter. So the second thing it does is it also tells you where to play the note. So in most guitar sheet music, there's going to be a little number with a circle around it that tells you what string to play that note on. Now, you don't have to take their advice on this, but it does give you a jumping off point. So in the beginning, you might be overwhelmed with, oh my god, there's 5 different C's. Where am I going to play this C? I could play this anywhere. Well, they're telling you where to play it. You can play it in that place. They're usually going to pick either a place that they think sounds good or makes a lot of sense to play it. So you can use their advice, and that makes it easier to read. So feature number 3, it always tells you when to play. So rhythmic notation, like I said before, is so deeply a part of standard notation that you really can't separate it. And there's so much fine control that you can do in your rhythmic notation in sheet music that you can really get any rhythm that you want. It's never a limitation of the notation. So the 4th feature is it tells you how to play. So this is here to make it even easier for you. In most guitar sheet music, the composer or the editor has put another number next to the note that says what finger to actually use. So you have 4 fingers that you use on your left hand, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's usually going to tell you what finger to put on that note. So that's even more information and even easier than tablature, because there's not really a good way to put fingerings in tablature, because the note, there's too many numbers going on to really easily put fingerings in tablature. You can do it, obviously, but it gets confusing. And then the 5th feature, and this to me is the most important feature, is it tells you why to play. So this is so important to me, and what I mean by why is that there's a whole tradition of putting these expressive markings in music. So this could be really simple. They might want it forte, which means loud. They might want it piano, which means soft. These are called dynamics, and they're almost always in your music. But then on top of that, there's also things like staccato, legato, playing things short or long. There's all sorts of these little things, crescendos, decrescendos, and then they get even cooler. You can get things like morendo, meaning dying away. There's all these ways that the composer is communicating to you, directly to you, how to play their music. And why I love this more than just listening to a recording and following along in tabs is you're looking at this piece of music that is not, it doesn't sound like anything. You're not getting any sound ideas from this piece of music. But you look at it, you read what the pitches are, you figure out where you want to play it, you read this expressive text, something like morendo, dying away. And rather than having a sound in your ear, you have the concept of this music dying away. And your concept of something dying away is going to be different than the person next to you's concept of something dying away. So the music is more distinctly yours because you learned it from something that wasn't actually putting sound ideas in your head. You're instead taking these words and you're fitting them into your life and your life experiences, and then you're converting that into sound. So the last thing that's a big feature of sheet music and learning about standard notation is it opens the door to music theory. Now you could theoretically learn about music theory without knowing about notes, but it's going to make things really difficult for you. You pretty much have to know how to read standard notation because that's the way that you communicate in music theory. It also makes it easier to analyze patterns in music, especially if you're analyzing music that's not for guitar, because it's not going to be in tablature. So I don't have time to actually talk about music theory in depth in this video. That could be a whole video all by itself. But if you're interested in music theory, standard notation is probably the way to go. So what should you actually do? Should you use tab or should you use sheet music? Well, my advice is if you're a beginner, if you're just starting out on your musical journey, you should probably just do tabs, because tabs are going to get you where you want to go the fastest. You can just sit down, learn how to do tabs, learn whatever songs you want. It's not, you're gonna learn really quickly. And then as you get a little bit better, once you actually put some time into learning how to play the guitar, learn how to read sheet music, because that's going to really benefit you. It's going to make you a more complete, more whole musician. So full disclosure, what I just described is what I did. I am right now actually like a pretty good reader. I'm a pretty good sight reader. When a student comes in with a piece of music that I've never seen before, I'm usually pretty confident that I can sight read it and learn it in the first couple of minutes of the lesson. However, it wasn't always like that. In fact, the first 4 years that I played guitar, I didn't know how to read anything. I didn't know anything about music notation. I just read tabs, I learned how to play things by ear, and it got me around. I got to be pretty good in the first 4 years that I was playing without ever reading music notation. But once I started going to school for music, I started to read music a little bit more. It was shown to me that it's a much better system. So when I adapted it, I really grew to love it. So the moral of the story is it's never too late to start learning. So which method do you prefer? Are you like a hardline tabber, all tab all the way? Or are you more like me, a sheet music junkie? You want to read all the notes? Let me know in the comments. I love reading what you guys have to say. It really makes me feel like we've got like a guitar community here on YouTube. If you liked this video, if it helped you out, please hit that like button. If you want to see more stuff from me, either my technique videos or videos just like this one, or videos where I'm playing guitar, hit that subscribe button, because I'm trying to come out with as much stuff as possible. Because I know a lot of you guys rely on YouTube to learn how to play guitar, to have people, explain these concepts. So that's it for me, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.